You found Michigan's retirement coach, Mike Douglas.
Well, the Social Security insolvency problem, it does not seem to be slowing down. But what can we learn from our friends down under is what we're going to discuss today.
And the shrimp on the bobby.
That's it. That's the end of the accents. I don't want to make this uncomfortable for anybody, mostly me. When people do accents, right. I always just cringe. Mm-hmm. That's not what we're here for. We're here to help empower you with information when it comes to your retirement savings or things you're hearing about, just how it relates to you, what could happen, getting Mike's thoughts on it. This is Mike Douglas, Michigan's retirement coach, certified financial planner. I'm Heather Branch, here to ask Mike about this story that is floating about in the internet space. So a reminder quickly, Michigan's Retirement Coach is our website where you can go to start the conversation with Mike and his team at Life Plan Financial Design. We also have links posted in the show notes. So again, the concern around Social Security's insolvency problem. One, Mike and I, we've said this before, we're not here to fearmonger. Something will happen. They'll figure it out. We just don't know what that will be or when and what it will look like. But President Trump has recently said that he admires the program, how much he admires the program that they have in Australia. So Australia requires that employers fund private accounts for their employees and also mandates that employees participate, Mike. The money is then invested, and that pension, so that's my first question. Is it a pension? That pension goes to retirees who meet certain income and asset criteria. So they went the investing and means testing route. The program is working there. Do you think it would work here? Ready, go.
So this was great because I've talked about the superannuation plan before, and it goes all the way back to like when I was first learning, like Robert Kiyosaki talks about it in his books, and a lot of people, discuss this plan. And it's interesting. It will definitely require a resetting of the deck here of our expectations. Yeah. But let's go back just a little bit. So I talked a while back, but David Freeberg, who's on the All In podcast, he always references the fact that Social Security's biggest problem is the fact that it's not invested in the stock market; it's invested in government treasuries, and our funds, like when we pay money out of our paychecks into Social Security, it goes and it buys government treasuries that pay a very low yield. So we give money to the government.
Excuse me, Professor, question. Sidebar real quick. What's the difference between a treasury and a bond?
So it's the same thing. Okay. It's the government treasuries are treasury issued bonds.
Okay. All right. Please continue.
They're buying government bonds and treasuries. They are purchasing that, getting a low yield on it. Okay. And then giving out the money on the back end. And with that, there was all these studies done that had they just over the years taken the same money, just invested it into a broad market portfolio, it would be doing great right now. It wouldn't be running out of money. We wouldn't have these issues. The problem is you're paying out so much. You're having less people pay in than ever now with decreasing population or decreasing birth rates in America, and the highest number ever of people taking Social Security benefits, and people living longer than they're intended to pay. When this first came into being in 1935, the average life expectancy was 67. So you got it at 65. They're supposed to pay you for 2 years. You die, and then you're out. Yep. And now that's just not the case anymore. People are retiring younger, taking it anywhere from 62 to 70 and living into their 80s, 90s, or even 100. So there's a funding issue even against how it was initially set up. But with that being the case, we have your money goes in, buys government bonds and treasuries, and then it comes back to you as income. What they do in Australia is you get these accounts and the money goes in and it goes into what's called super funds. So it's invested more aggressively and more proactively. It's much more like a 401k. Okay. And the money goes in. So the pros of what we're talking about here, the potential returns are higher. Okay. The investing in the super funds in the Australian plan is way higher returns than people are getting from the treasuries that they get here in the United States. So the way that they say that the stock market average is 10% year over year, the super funds are going to get you 6, 7, 8, 9%, sometimes 10%, versus here where you're getting 3% on a government bond.
Right. Okay.
Another benefit to it is a lower government burden. Right now, the unfunded liabilities of Social Security It's a major issue. So by doing it, you shift the onus of your retirement from the government to you and your employer. So over the course of your career, you work 40 years, you put this money in, your employer puts it in. Again, it's all mandated. In the same way that we pay Social Security tax now, they're just doing a superannuation account tax.
Okay.
It has to go into their accounts. So it lowers the government burden. There is no Social Security there. It's just this plan. The private retirement accounts reduce the long-term financial strain on the government programs. And it is nice that, I'm not going to say nice. A pro is that there's mandatory saving.
Okay.
It requires employer contributions, and it forces consistent retirement saving, and readiness is better.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's my pros. That's my half full perspective.
Okay.
The government, I do not like trusting the government to take care of me in the future. Kimberly and I, as well as what we're going to tell our kids is, I don't know what Social Security is going to look like, but I'd like to think I'm a better steward of my own money than the government is. So that's that. The cons. There is more investment risk in this plan by using the funds. However, the market makes money over time, so I don't even fully agree with that one.
Okay.
You're also, if you try to make a shift to this, you're talking about mandating employers to do a heavy contribution.
Right. Does that align with America's capitalist views?
Yeah. And so that's the thing. It's like the whole idea of mandating. Anytime you go to mandating more benefits, you can't be mad when employers lean into less employees and more automation. So we're seeing this in kiosks in fast food restaurants. You go somewhere and they say, hey, we're at $15 an hour for minimum wage at this state. Okay, great. Then you see these kiosks popping up in McDonald's and Taco Bell. You go in, you order, and now this whole Taco Bell is running on 4 people. Well, when I was 16, I started working at the McDonald's actually right by our office here. And when I was there, we had 12 people working at a time.
Sure.
Front drive-through, back drive-through, 3 people at the counters, a person on meat, a person on fries. Like we were all over the place. Managers, someone cleaning the lobby. Like it was hustling and bustling. Now, I've not been to a drive-through in years where both windows are open.
Right.
It's just one now. And on top of that, you've got 3 to 5 people working in these places. So that's a change. What does that come from? Increased cost for their supplies, increased cost for their labor, and yet they're not trying to raise the price of a Big Mac at the same speed as all the other costs are going up. So anytime you increase the expenses for the company, you give them a reason. And I'm not even saying it's a negative thing, but there is another reason to decrease the workforce. Similar to like if you said, well, you got to give full-time, when they made full-time benefits go down to 30 hours. That was a couple years, was it like 6 years ago? They said, all right, now you have to get benefits from me over 30 hours. Here's a shocker. A bunch of people went down to 29 hours. And people now can't live off of a 28-hour job a week.
Right.
Where they were getting 35 before.
Right. Now they got to get another job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's a trade-off. So, and there's also this side of if the government says you have to put in 12% as a company and the employee has to put in 4%. Like that's what they do. They mandate not just what the employer does, they also mandate savings from the employee.
Right.
So it's like a self-employment tax, but you're employed. So then they do that.
Aren't we already doing that though? Like we're paying it into Social Security. We're paying, we pay taxes out of our paycheck. So if it was to just shift, would we even notice?
Potentially.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. When they are doing that, what's to keep it from changing in the future to 15% from the employer?
Right.
And that I think it's just anytime there's mandated stuff by the government on a private company, you don't want to make it a negative thing to be a business owner. Right. You don't want to make it a negative thing to employ people. You don't want to handcuff people from giving people jobs. And the more government regulation, I believe, and there will be people in the comments who completely disagree, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But as someone who employs people, I have employees. Every time they release regulations on what I have to do or don't do, I'm like, oh gosh, we need to change our structures a little bit because we have to keep our margins where they need to be. So when you go through and say, all right, everybody who works over 40 hours a week is due time and a half. I have no problem with that. Like you work overtime, you work more than expected. There's got to be some grace given as the employer. Like I'm going to give you time and a half. I have no problem with that. If you bring that number down to 30 hours, say now that we're over 30 hours, you got to pay time and a half. That's too many hours to give time and a half. So now I have to reduce hours. So that's the type of thing I'm talking about. So whenever there's a government thing, they put this in place and we say, okay, good. The rules for today are just fine. And then they move the goalposts on us. They do it all the time with retirement savings. They do it all the time with tax laws. They change all the time.
Right.
Why wouldn't they be able to in the future say, well, because we printed so much money and inflation went crazy, now employers have to do 15%. Not because the employer did something different, because other government policy triggered the cost of living to go up. And as a result, now the employer has to put in more money to their employer.
Okay.
Their employee.
Right.
I just don't like that. I like at-will employment. I like the fact that now I do think there's some good things that have come recently when they said, all right, in 401ks, they are making it so that people are eligible for 401ks basically instantly. I think that's great. We want to get people saving. I think the Trump accounts coming out, those are great. I think it's great. Try to get people saving, investing, give an opportunity for people to get involved in the stock market, hopefully fall in love with investing and saving money. If they get a taste for it early, then maybe they can do better at it long term. I think all of these things are great.
Okay.
And I also like the fact that we're at least talking about some solution to Social Security.
Right.
However, there's no way we could flip this on its head in time to deal with the issue we have looming.
I was going to say something like this that I will
Again,
say,
it's resetting
you were
the deck.
talking about pros and cons, and to every yin, there's a yang. So there's always going to be one side and another. You got to just figure out which situation do the pros outweigh the cons. But how would you even begin to implement this? It's like you'd have to come up with an entire rollout there would have to be an allotted budget to the government division, that team that would figure out how to roll this out over the course of, I would say, at least 10 years. It would have to be like a 40-year transition. Yeah, I was going to say at least 10 years, if not decades.
Well, because think about it. I'm 42. I've been paying into this system for 24 years.
Yep.
So even if they cut it off today, I am due Social Security benefits for the last 24 years.
Yep.
More than half my life I've been paying it.
Yep. Same.
So I'm due money back from that. That's the way the system works. So, but if they said, all right, we cut it off today, you get 24 years of benefit. And then if they phase it out over time, all right, well, a 25-year-old, they're only due 3 to 5 years of benefit, right? How long they've been paying in.
Right.
Okay, well, then they can do that. But if they said, all right, moving forward, any 18-year-old can no longer be in that. They have to be in this America's superannuation plan.
Right.
All right, well, then great. Well, then you are in this new system. And that's why I say 40 years. In my opinion, to be fair, and it's not often fair, you should still get out what you put in. At least in terms of
if it were to
rata.
flip where it's, the young, if you're 18, you're going to go to this system. It's like, well, then who's paying into the Social Security system for those of us that have been in it, that will remain in it? Like, where does that funding come from? That's the thing. It's like, how does the math on it is
right. It doesn't work because you're right. It's not like it's in my safety deposit box waiting for me to come take it.
It's about the system of being continually people paying into it. Like the next generation comes along.
The money you and I put in this Friday into Social Security is probably gone by Monday. Like that's kind of where we're at as a country. Like that money is a whirlwind in and out. It's not as simple as, all right, I put in my 10 grand, give me back my 10 grand.
Right.
It's gone. So that's also the other problem is how do we deal with that? I would love to see someone come up with a reasonable solution. And I've yet to see anything.
But we've got government officials that are expected to do it. So everybody is going to be waiting a while.
Right. And my expectation is they'll find a way to kick it down the road.
Yeah.
And they'll raise a debt ceiling to partially fund it. But I mean, 2032 or 2034, depending on the article you read, that's coming. That number hasn't really changed now in like 5 years.
Right.
So
in fact, if we've seen any changes, it gets closer. I feel like it used to be like sometime between 2035 and 2040. Now it's like it's latest 2035. Some people are estimating 2034, 2032. If anything, it gets closer, not further out.
Right. And that's so for me as a 42-year-old, it's not that stressful. But for my clients who are all in retirement or near retirement, it's very stressful because they're saying on the Social Security website, without major reform is the term that they use, without major reform to Social Security, then they'll be cutting all benefits by up to 20, I think it was 23%.
Yep.
All benefits. That means those being received as well. So for the retirees, if you're watching, have a diversified plan. What is your exit strategy? What's your plan B for income? Should you set some money aside right now? Throw it in an annuity, throw it into some dividend strategies that will cook up some income. And then in 7 years, if it comes up that we have to turn that thing on, great. You turn it on and at least we plan for it. Better to plan for it now and not need it than the other way around.
Right. Well, and this brings me all back to the point of, okay, maybe this will happen. Good for you, Australia. Wish we had a better situation set up here. None of it's in our control. So, of course, the question then remains, what the heck can we do now on a local level as far as protecting ourselves from what inevitably is going to happen? I think benefits are going to get cut pretty harshly. I think that's what it's I think they're going to leave it to the last minute. And then whomever is in office time is going to be faced with a real ugly cut. That's what I think is going to happen. So what can we do to protect ourselves in the meantime? That's what the question is.
Yeah. And that's why I think you have to plan for it. Like I said, if you do it early enough, you don't have to be as drastic, right? So, there's multiple ways you can do it, but have diversified streams of income.
Yeah.
And again, if you're going through and you say, and I don't think everybody needs an annuity. I don't think everybody needs this, that, whatever, but it can make sense. For some of our clients, we set up and say, if we know in 7 years, you need a bump of income because, a land contract falls off or a rental or you've got a settlement that's going to stop paying you. Mm-hmm. Well, then, yeah, we take some money, throw it into an annuity. In 7 years, it'll kick out what you need to make up for that.
Got it.
You can do that on an individualized planning basis. I'm not making a recommendation for everybody who's watching to do that, but I'm saying there are strategies. You can invest in a dividend portfolio, let it reinvest, let it keep buying more and more shares, knowing that in about 7 years, it'll kick off the income you want. So you can make some decisions, But I'll tell you this, if you wait 6 years and you try to do it with a 1 year turnaround, it takes a lot more money.
Got it.
If you can put a smaller portion in now into an income plan, it can work over the next 6-7 years. Prepare for it.
Okay. In this case, time is your friend, not the enemy. I think that especially as we get older and we, thinking about folks in retirement, it's like time is the enemy. No, time is your friend. Take advantage of the opportunity in front of you because as of the time of this podcast recording, this is 2026, March 2026. So they're saying Social Security insolvency the crisis will come to our doorstep in approximately 6 to 8 years. So now is the time. If you want to take some proactive steps, if you're worried about how your income is going to look in your retirement or you're already retired, Mike and his team, they are here to show you what your options are now. And then also as laws change, as government officials that are elected go out of office and new people come in, laws are ever changing. Mike and his team, they're constantly talking to the folks they work with about the new opportunities that come along. Because no matter what, this is the other thing I also lean into the optimistic side of it. No matter what's going on, no matter what international wars or market circumstances or economic situations, there is always opportunity. That's the other thing also, Mike, I know you like to remind people of is seek the opportunity because it's always there. Mike and his team are here to show you what opportunities you have. MichigansRetirementCoach.com is where you can go to start the conversation with Mike and his team about your savings, about your retirement income streams. We also have links posted in the show notes, so you can just click there or visit us at MichigansRetirementCoach.com.
Thanks for listening to Michigan's Retirement Coach with Mike Douglas. To learn more, visit MichigansRetirementCoach.com.
Michael Douglas is an investment advisor representative of Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Michael Douglas is licensed in your state, please call 517-323-7526. Stewards Wealth Planning, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Michael B. Douglas, NPN number 9650939.